हो गया। ठीक है। Hello. Hi. Okay. So in today class, I will discuss the 7-8 topics of the last week. As in the yesterday session, the Sabisa suggested about the current affairs program here. So on every Friday, there will be class at 2:15, in which we will cover our last week current affairs. Mostly we will cover the 7-8 topics in this class, and on Saturday at 11 a.m. you will have a test of 20 questions on the basis of current affairs. Some of the questions from these topics that I will discuss today. Some of the questions, the remaining topics, which are the more important one, and you can complete those topics through the questions only. So the idea behind to cover these current affairs, like how to link the news for the prelims as well as the mains perspective. Whenever you are reading a news from the paper, so there is a higher chance you will not able to get it how we link the news with the question paper or with your syllabus. So that is the most important thing, because the flood of the material in the market make you confuse more. So we need to stick to the some of the resources there. So minimal resources के साथ maximum play out करना होता है in the UPSC exam. So we are covering some of the resources from the for current affairs. These are the resources. Every time I'm telling you, the Hindu, Indian Express, Down to Earth, Mint Premium. इनके beyond कोई questions in the prelims as well as the mains नहीं आएगा. So stick to the Edukemy current affairs, or you are following any other magazines. It's not the hard and fast rule. You will stick only to the Edukemy. But I will suggest, if you're following to the one source, follow till the end. Don't skip, like this month you're following X institution, next month you're following the Y institution, then the Z institution. So it's not recommended. Follow only a single institution, which are covering all the dimensions of the current affairs. So that will be the beneficial for you. So these are the topics we will cover today: the dotted lines, dotted land, self-help groups, Kudumshiri, Indian pharmaceutical industry, Greater Flamingo, Baobab tree, expected credit loss based loan, gaps in the Aadhaar enabled payment system. These 3 topics are very important for the mains. Even in the last 2-3 years, the question already asked in these topics. If you see the question related to the land reforms, the question in the mains paper in 2021, in 2017, they asked the question on the land reforms. If you see the question on the self-help group, every time they're asking a single question on the self-help group in the GS2, in the social justice part. Similarly, the Indian pharmaceutical sectors, after the COVID, the trends of the Indian pharmaceutical industry is also increasing. On an average, the 10% growth in the compound annual growth rate in the Indian pharmaceutical sectors. So we will see the by volume, what is the rank of the Indian pharmaceutical industry, by value, the rank of the Indian pharmaceutical industry. What is the difference between the branded and the generic drugs? Because the India is known as the generic pharmacy of the world. So we will look all these concepts in the Indian pharmaceutical industry. If you see the prelims question, you will find the UPSC is asking the question on the basis of the trends. Like the GDP is growing regularly in the last 5 years, continuously or steadily, we can say. Similarly, the question on the based on the Indian pharmaceutical industry, the Indian pharmaceutical industry is steadily growing in the last 10 years with a compound annual growth rate of 10%. So these type of the question can also be framed. And we are the net exporter in the pharmacy. But we import most of the API, means the active pharmaceutical ingredient, from the China. So we will look all these concepts in the Indian pharmaceutical industry. If I come to the Greater Flamingo and the Baobab tree, these both are related to the environmental perspectives and the most important for the prelims. If you see the question paper of the UPSC environment it's carry 20 questions of the environment. Out of the 100 questions, the UPSC prelims is having the 20 to 22 questions of the environment only. Because the IFOS, Indian Forest Service, is included in the UPSC CSE prelims, so environment has a higher weightage. To cover the environment from the each perspective, we need to be focused on the species in the news, any tree species in the news, any fertilizer in the news, national park in the news. So we need to look on the daily perspective. Then we will come to the expected credit loss based loan. Now the RBI changed a strategy related to the loss incurred by the banking system. Initially क्या होता था, bank tell the RBI after the completion of the years इतना loss हमें हो गया है. But now the RBI changed the rate. You need to be tell on the starting of the financial years. Means you need to tell on in April instead of telling in the March 25. So there is a change in the criteria. So we will look at this also. And this is very important for the prelims perspective in the economic part. GS3 economy. If you see the economy question in the paper, almost the 16, 17 is the average question in the economy. And out of those 16, 17, 70% is from the current affairs. इकोनॉमी का वेटेज देखोगे पेपर में तो 70% क्वेश्चन करंट अफेयर से होते हैं, 30% स्टैटिक से होते हैं. So there is a need to look on the economic current affairs very well from the exam perspective. Then the gaps in the Aadhaar enabled payment systems. जैम के बारे में सुना होगा, जनधन आधार मोबाइल आया, फिर नेशनल पेमेंट कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ इंडिया ने यूपीआई को लॉन्च किया. उसके बाद उन्होंने लॉन्च किया कि हम आधार एनेबल्ड पेमेंट सिस्टम लेके आते हैं जहां पे आप फिंगरप्रिंट्स के थ्रू ट्रांजैक्शंस कर सकते हैं. बट देयर इज अ इशू इन द AEPS and there is many frauds done through the AEPS through the silicone fingerprints. So we will look also this issue here. So let's start with the dotted line. Dotted line. Anybody can tell what is the meaning of the dotted line here? The story starts from British time. Whenever any land revenue official from the British office go into the villages and check the ownership of the land, which tenant having the ownership, which labor is having the ownership of the land. If they find a suitable owner there, then they mark, like a table is formed like this. There is a category of the land. There is a name of the owner. If the X land is will belong to the A owner, they will mark here, this land is belong to the A owner. But if the Y land is available there, and but there is no exact owner of the land, they will put a dot there. Similarly, for the Z man, they are is for the B, but this is the right one. Again, for the C man, they are like a L person. They are putting a dot here because there is no final authority or the final owner of the land. So these dots in the government records from the British times. After the so many land changes, land records के बारे में बात करते हुए गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत सारे steps लिए related to the lands distributions. But these dotted is also remain in some of the area in the country. So these dotted lands is comes from these dots. In the government revenue details, in the land revenue details, there are dots present where the ownership of the lands is not clear. So those lands are known as the dotted land. So now the Andhra Pradesh governments come with a solution. We will go again and check these dotted lands. If we have find a suitable ownership, then we will put under these the digital land records. तो डिजिटल लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स को बनाने के लिए, उनका ओनरशिप को क्लैरिफाई करने के लिए आंध्र प्रदेश गवर्नमेंट स्टार्टेड दिस इनिशिएटिव एंड दे आर टारगेटिंग लाइक अ clear the 1 lakh dotted lands, their ownership as well. So why the dotted land issue arises? क्या क्या रीजन हो सकते हैं? Anybody can tell me the reasons why there is a no ownership lands? What are the major reason? Land dispute, one of the reason. Like when there is a no clear transfer of the land, like any XYZ have father, he is not transferring the land to his son and he died. So there is a no clear transfer of the lands. Then there is a no owner of the land after the death of the head of the family. So in that case, the land is considered as a dotted land. Second case, when the government recognize a land as a deemed land, means that land is belonging to the government only, but the private sector is operating company there. But that land is also having a ownership dispute. That is also comes under a dotted land issue. Third, if a category of the lands from the British time continuing to be have no owner, that is also lead to creation of this dotted land. So these are the main issue why the dotted land issue arises into the country. हाँ, पेपर वर्क सफिशिएंसी नहीं है, दैट्स व्हाई द डॉटेड लैंड ना, बिकॉज देयर इज नो क्लियर ओनरशिप इन द डॉटेड लैंड. So land reforms started after the independence in the country, but in the phases of the land reforms, like we are in third phase of the land reforms, even in some of the states in the country, there is no clarity about the land distributions. The Maharashtra was the first state in the country which started a digital land records, जहां पे complete भी होने वाले. Similarly, the some of the project the government started about the completion of the land records. So in the same context, the Andhra Pradesh government has started to target these dotted lands and to provide the land to their owners. Okay. So we discussed the dotted lands. Now, why the ownership dispute arise होने के क्या-क्या reason हो सकते हैं? What are the major reason? If the land owner did not leave a clear will passing, means when the head of the family is not transferring land clearly to their heirs. Heirs means son, daughters को transfer नहीं करते हैं. So in that case, there is a question mark regarding the ownership of the lands. The land either will go to the daughter, either will go to the son. But in the Hindu law, if the head of the family is expired, then the land is distributed equally between their son or daughter. But in some of the cases, in some of the religion, this is not clarified for the distribution of the lands. So this is the one of the reason here. Second, land deemed by the government to belong to the states, but occupation by the private party. The same issue. Take an example. This land is had by the government. This is related to the government only, the NCT of Delhi only. But the private coaching institution are running the coaching on these lands. So there is also an ownership dispute because the private institution are saying the land is related to us, but the government is saying we notified in the Gazette of the India or the Gazette of the state regarding this land. So there is also a ownership dispute. Then land records that are questioned in sense more than the 100-year-olds. Mean during the British times, जो land issue था वह continuous चलता आ रहा है because we are only completing the 75 years of the independence. So before 1947 के जो भी cases थे, that is also comes under this dotted land issue. Then government official left the ownership column blank, indicating their disputed states. तो आपको पता ही है government job में काम कैसे होता था पहले. They are not taking their work seriously. They are going to check the land records and they are not filling the columns. So sometimes they forgot to fill the columns and they are putting the dots. If we are not finding the exact owner of the land. So these are some of the issue, or these are some of the ownership disputes why the dotted land arise. तो यहाँ पे हमारा फोकस क्या होना चाहिए? Dotted land is a one part of the land reforms. Whenever there is a question related to the land reforms, then we can write the step of the dotted land in the body part. But the complete question, let me show you the UPSC question related to it. This was a mains question in 2021. How did land reforms in some part of the country help to improve socio-economic condition of the marginal and the small farmers? So they are linking the land reform with the economical perspective as well as the societal perspective. So we need to link all these perspectives. Like we will discuss here कैसे इसको link करना है. हाँ? Yes, GS3. It comes under GS3. So this is a scheme. Jagannath Saswatha Bahu Haku Bhu Raksha Yojana. नाम याद नहीं करना. Just for show you. This is the Yojana of the Andhra Pradesh government to convert these dotted lands into the electronic records and provide the ownership to the lands. Okay. When we provide a owner to the land, take this example of the land and we are providing the owner. The owner is a small farmer, small marginal farmer. If he is the owner, he can take a loan on the land. So through the economical perspective, he can take the loan. He can run the small business through the loan. He can do the agriculture on the land with the same loan. So through the economical perspective, he can grow itself after getting the ownership of the lands. From the societal perspective, उसको जॉब के लिए इधर उधर नहीं भागना पड़ेगा. He has his own land. He can do the agriculture work there. इस केस में जॉब के लिए नहीं भागना होगा तो criteria in society, like in the Indian society, this is the range. If somebody is not earning, they are not looking their sides. कि उनको अच्छे से नहीं देखा जाता, जो कुछ कमाते नहीं है, इधर उधर घूमते रहते हैं, जिनके पास कुछ नहीं होता है. So in that case, their level in the society will be rise up. In the Indian caste system also, if the lower society or the lower caste, we can say, if they are getting the ownership of the land, the criteria in the society will increase regarding the scheduled caste or the scheduled tribes or even the backward classes. But these are the link of the economic link as well as the societal link of the land reforms. कैसे land reforms societal link or economic में help करेगा after the getting the ownership of the lands. For this, the central government does various schemes related to it. So we will look to each of the schemes. Number one is Swamita scheme. Swamita Yojana. In the Swamita scheme, the government is making the land records through the drones and registering those land records digitally, so that in the future there will be a no land issue or there is a no land dispute between the owner and the land provider. So in that case, the government is maintaining the record digitally and providing the ownership to the original owner of the land in the case of the Swamita Yojana. So these Swamita Yojana is important for your prelims perspective. They can give the what is the aims and the objective of the Swamita Yojana, and the option can be A, B, C, and D. Swamita Yojana is related to the street vendors. Swamita Yojana is related to the providing the ownership of the lands. It is about the giving the making the land reports through the drones perspectives. So these kind of the question can be asked into the prelims. Then Prevesh portal. Like whenever you are the owner of the land, you want to make some buildings there. So you need to take the green clearance from the NGT, National Green Tribunals. In that case, the government will check the ownership of the lands. If you are the if you are the exact owner of the land, then they only will provide to the green clearance for the lands. Otherwise, they will update the owner of the land into the records. So this comes under the Prevesh portal of the government. Then the unique land parcel identification number. This government is making the Aadhaar card for everyone. First, the Aadhaar card for the human beings, then the Aadhaar card for the cattle, now the Aadhaar card for the land also. So this unique land parcel identification number is known as the Aadhaar card. It works as the same Aadhaar card for the lands. The ownership details will link with the land, and they're giving a 14-digit numbers to the owner regarding their lands. So there will be a no future dispute related to the land. Like finally जो decision होगा, दो party involved हैं disputes में, either through the court, either through the panchayat, either through the small court, district court के through, जो final decision होगा उसके basis पे they will decide the owner of the land. जहाँ पे dispute नहीं है, but that comes under the government, deemed to be comes under the government, तो उसको government के अंदर लेके आ जाएगा. Then the national generic document registration system. हाँ. No, like initially they are giving the patta like a old tradition. Now they are giving a digitally land records. They will give you like your Aadhaar number or 12-digit number. They will give you a 14-digit number. When you enter that 14-digit number into the website of the government, you will find the complete details of your land. Okay, you are the owner of this land. Okay. Then a national generic document registration system means you can register your own land with the suitable documents supporting the evidence you are the owner of the land in this case. So whenever there is a question related to the land reforms, they are asking about what are the initiatives taken by the different governments related to the land reforms. Through the central government perspective, you can write these 4 reforms. Through the various state government perspective, you can write the different reforms, like the dotted land according to the Andhra Pradesh government. Similarly, there is some of the reforms related to the Maharashtra governments, related to the West Bengal government. West Bengal did a very good job related to the land reforms. So you can quote their example related to the land reform question in the mains. Okay. Any doubts related to this topic? So this was the question in the 2021. How did the land reforms in the some parts of the country help to improve the socio-economic condition of the marginal and the small farmer? तो सबसे ज्यादा impact होता है for any land ownership on the marginal and the small farmer, because they are working as a labor into some of the other land or the field. Yeah. Yes, you can sell your owners. Yeah, if I am the owner of this building, I can sell to anyone. Same the case. Okay. So the next topic for today is the self-help group, Kudumshri. Everybody know the Kudumshri SSG, self-help group related to Kerala, is completing the 25 years. This is one of the largest self-help group in country. What is the meaning of the self-help group? Anybody can tell the definition. ठीक है. Any other? ठीक है. Yeah, this is the aim and objective. We can say this is the aim and objective of the self-help group. So the definition of the self-help groups, like some of the like we can say people को man, woman, any of the case can be here. Either can be the oriented by the woman, either by the man. Some of the people came together and they form an informal group, not the formal group. They will form an informal group for the development of socio and the economic condition of the that area or the that particular group. It can be related to the some particular area, particular groups, 20 people, 50 people, 100 people, or it can be extend up to the lakhs of the people. In the case of the Kudumshri, they are covering their extensions from the block level to the community level to the district level, and they are increasing day by day. Similarly, there are some of the other groups related to self-help. Anybody can tell any of the example? हाँ, गुजरात का पापड़ वाला ग्रुप है, लिज्जत. ठीक है. तो you need to learn the examples, because whenever you are writing the mains answer, na, data and examples are very important. If you're writing the generic answer, they will give you generic marks. Generic answer will score only 3 to 4 marks, not more than that, out of 10 or the 15. Maximum range with the 15, you can reach up to 5 with the generic answer, and mostly the score will be between the 4 to 5. In the 10 marker, you will reach up to 3 and 3.5 with the generic answers. But if you're writing the case study, if you're writing the data, then you can score up to the 6, 6.5 or up to the 7 in the 15 marker, and up to the 5 or the 5.5 into the 10 marker. So that is the difference of the writing the case study or writing the data into your answers. Okay, so Kudumshri is a project or the self-help group of the Kerala, which is working from the last 25 years, and the president Draupadi Murmu inaugurated the silver jubilee of this Kudumshri project. That's why the self-help group or the Kudumshri was in the news. So the self-help groups ka definitions is an informal association of peoples who choose to come together to find to way improve their living condition. The living condition here, the socio-economic conditions, इकोनॉमिकल पर्सपेक्टिव से भी ग्रो करना है, स्किल को भी ग्रो कराना है, सोसाइटी में लेवल को भी ऊपर लेके आना है. तो द ऑल टाइप ऑफ द कंडीशन इंक्लूडिंग अंडर द लिविंग कंडीशन हियर. हाँ, you will get this slide, no issue, you will get the slides there. It can be defined as a self-governed peer control information group of people with the socio-economic backgrounds and having a desire to collectively perform a common purpose. Like you 20 people are decide a common purpose, like you want to clear the prelims. So you will interact together, you will give some idea, I have a better idea to learn this thing, I have a better strategy to attempt the prelims paper, I have a good skill of writing the answer. So you will share your skill with each one of them. So you all will be able to, on a same page, with the same category, you will able to qualify the prelims. In the same case, in the self-help groups, the person who is having the skills, who having a management skill, who having a skills of the economic development, who having a society upgrading skills, they will come together, 4 or 5 people, and they will start organizing the people with them for the good financial initiative. So in the self-help group, they are providing the finances also, like a 20,000 loan, 50,000 loan, 10,000 loan that are required by those area or the member of the self-help group. Even they are also providing some skills there, like skills providing, they will teach some skills related to the wooden work. They will teach some skill related to the coloring work. They will teach some work related to the like stitching ke liye bhi kar sakte. So these are some of the skills they are giving in the self-help group. So the person who are involved in these groups can get a better income, can raise up into the society level and help to join the other members as well as in the groups. So these are the main work of these self-help groups. So Kudumshri is a poverty eradication empowerment program. It's a eradication and the empowerment program specifically for the women, and the largest empowerment movement program in the world, sorry, in the country. Country में सबसे बड़ा empowerment program है. So you can mention the example of the Kudum Shri whenever there is a question related to the self-help group. This is a very successful self-help group into the country. And its meaning is the prosperity of the family. Means family को socio-economic level पे grow करना is the aim and the objective of this Kudum Shri project. Next, how this self-help group is operating. कैसे exactly the Kudum Shri is operating, how they are operating their work. They divided their operation into three structures. Number one, neighborhood groups. Means like in the old Rajendra Nagars, they are making a very small group related to the providing the skills, providing the economic help to that person. So in the Rajendra Nagar, they are making a small neighborhood groups. So वहाँ पे small level पे they will work together. Then they will move to the area developmental society. So if I include this Rajendra Nagar, this Krol Bagh, this Patel Nagar, this Shadipur, they will make a larger group there according to the area developmental society. Then they will work at a community development societies. Means they will increase the further their area. From the basic unit, they will start upgrading their units to the higher level, so that they can serve to the maximum people into that area. So the maximum people can get the benefit of those services provided by the self-help group. Yes, Kudum Shri currently now functioning into the Kerala only, but in recently they started working into the Uttar Pradesh also. अभी just start हुआ है, लेकिन अभी तक exactly operation start नहीं हुए, but they start working into the Uttar Pradesh also, but the successful results will in the Kerala only अभी तक. Key features क्या हैं? Neighborhood groups हमने देखा कि when they are starting their basic units, that comes through their neighborhood units, and they are joining some of the people into their neighbor area. Then the microfinance and the livelihood activity means they are providing loans, small loans to their members, so they can open their small shops, even the kirana stores, even some of the skill learning stores, so they can earn some of the money through the finance purpose. Capacity building. Capacity building means mainly providing the skill development. Skill development, if we are giving the skills to any of the people, they are the self-sustained. So the main idea behind the Kudum Shri is also making the people self-sustained, so they can earn on their own. So they can also involve in this movement and can add more group to the self-help and can reach to the maximum level at in the state. Then the community development. Community development means which are the area like the cleanliness, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Modi ji ने चलाया Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So that's a community development area. एक पंचायत development area में community developments करना है, sanitation पे focus करना है, toilets making पे focus करना है, housing for all पे focus करना है. Means the government की जो schemes हैं, उनको particular targeted section तक पहुंचाना is also a part of this self-help groups that through the community development. If these basic necessity will reach to the root level, that will lead to the community development already. The networking and the federation means if you are working through the neighborhood group, you cannot move into the complete states. So there is a need to be expansion also. So from neighborhood, they are moving to the area development, then to the community development, and increasing and spreading their area into the state, then into the country. So this is about the self-help groups of the Kudum Shri. So क्या-क्या major role हो सकते हैं self-help group के women empowerment? What are the major role? Where is this PDF? Radhika, you will get this PDF after the class. You in the Telegram group or in the YouTube comment section, you can find it. So role of self-help group in the women empowerment. In the UPSC previous year question, if you see the mains question, the already asked question related to the role of the self-help groups in the women empowerment. Economic empowerment, in the most of the cases in the India, except the tier 1 city, tier 2, tier 3 and village में, mostly women को as a housewife treat किया जाता है. और होता है कि treat में कि आप घर का ही काम करें, the male will look at the outer space और jobs को वो देख लेगा. So in that case, if the self-help group is operating in the nearby area, so that can help economic empowerment of that female, those who want to work, those who want to learn the skill. So they can go to that self-help group and can do the some amount of work, and they can earn the some earning for the family and help into the economic empowerment of that particular female. Then saving and the credit. If the somebody is working into the self-help group, learning the skills and earning some money, they can help in the savings. Yes. No. It's not a self-help group. It's a service provider only. Mumbai Dabbawala is just a service provider. They are not a self-help group. Saving and credits. Saving and credits, so some person is earning a good amount of money. They can save the 10%, 20% or the 15% of the that money into the bank account. If somebody need that money, they can give through the circulation to the other person which required the money. So they are also helping the saving and the credit providing to those females. Skill development and the capacity building. We already discussed about the skill development and the capacity buildings. Skill development means learning the new skills about the new work. Social empowerment, if the some female is earning, like in the recently the UPSC results came, everybody is saying the ladkiyon ne bazi mari hai. It's like a ratio, improvement of the ratio in the final result. If you see the result of the 15, 14, 13, the ratio of the male was very high into the UPSC CSE prelims or the final interview examination. Now the ratio of the female start increasing. Even in the last year, the first 2-3 are the female. Even in this year, the first 4 are the female. And the overall ratio female is increasing. Why this is happening? Even because of the government schemes related to this field. Like in some of the states, you will find some specific schemes related to the empowerment of the woman. Even they're providing coaching specifically to the lower strata of the society as well as the woman. So means they are focusing on a target section. Similarly, the self-help group is focusing on a target section, which is considered as a weaker section in the society. So that weaker section can be uplifted into the society and can help into the formation of our overall development of that strata of the society. So where the self-help group work. Access to the government schemes and the services means the government ने कोई योजना launch की प्रधानमंत्री जनधन योजना, public distribution system, but it's not reaching to the particular strata of the society. Upper middle class is taking the benefit of the PDS. In India, the 80% population is taking the benefit of the PDS. Is it required in India? So this is the question mark here. 80% of the population of the India means the 1.1 billion people is taking the benefit of the PDS. Where those who exactly require, that's not reaching to them. Similarly, in the case of the minimum support price, आप लोगों को पता होगा, only the 6 to 7% of the farmers in the country is getting the minimum support price. So this is the condition. The government scheme is not reaching to the particular target section. How the schemes can be reached to the particular target section, that can be come through the community development or access of the government schemes, or can particularly run the small group into the village, so they can give the information about the government scheme to that people, so they can access, like the pension yojana, old age pension schemes. Most of the states are providing the old age pension schemes, but पता ही नहीं है लोगों को ये भी मिलता है. प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना कितने % फार्मर्स को मिलता होगा? मुश्किल से 2.5 to 3% of the farmers in the country is getting the प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना. So the success of any of the government scheme is dependent on those small groups which are operating in that area. So one of them is the small help groups. Other is the NGO, non-governmental organization, which are providing the information to those people which are not connected with the internet, which are not connected with the TV or the radio, or which are not getting any information about the government schemes. So where the self-help group is playing a very good role. So these are the questions. You can see the 3 questions in the last 7 years. In 2021, the question was, can the vicious cycle of the gender equality, poverty, and malnutrition to be broken through the microfinancing of the women's self-help group? Explain with examples. Just ये लिखना कि हाँ करता है, it will not be a complete answer. So you need to be divide the answer into 3 parts. Number 1, जहां पे gender inequality पर specifically focus किया गया है, तो उसके कुछ results दिखने शुरू हुए होंगे कि according to this self-help group, the women empowerment increase in this area. You can also mention the example of the Kudum Shri here. Similarly, in the case of the poverty पॉवर्टी में कैसे हेल्प किया, कितने % लोगों को पॉवर्टी से बाहर लेने के आने में हेल्प किया गया है. You need to write the case study here. You need to write the example here. Again, in the case of the malnutrition, you can write the report of the National Family Health Survey 5 specifically to the village, specifically to the state. They mention the example of the case study into the NFHS 5, National Family Health Survey. तो वहां से डेटा लेके आप इसको मेंशन करेंगे कि दिस सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप, दिस एनजीओ हेल्प इनटू द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द malnutrition को रिमूव करने में हेल्प किया. हाँ, एनीमिया का इफ देयर एनी सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप इज ऑपरेटिंग इनटू अ पर्टिकुलर एरिया, उन्होंने हेल्प किया उसको निकालने में, तो यू कैन मेंशन द एग्जांपल हियर. तो इसमें आपको इंक्लूड करना है माइक्रो फाइनेंसिंग वाला पार्ट भी. हाउ माइक्रो फाइनेंसिंग इज हेल्पिंग टू ब्रेक दिस जेंडर इनइक्वालिटी, पॉवर्टी एंड malnutrition, and how their SSG is playing a very good role here. So specifically explain with the examples. Without example, you will not get a good marks in this question. So in 2017, the question related to direct to the self-help groups, the emergence of the self-help group in contemporary time points to the slow but steady withdrawal of the state from developmental activity. ये कहना चाह रहे हैं कि as the SSG started, the role of the state in the development is start decreasing, or they are taking up the role of the development in those areas in a tier 3 city, in the villages. सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स को प्रमोट करते हैं, पार्टिकुलर टारगेट सेक्शन तक पहुंचाते हैं, तो गवर्नमेंट का कुछ हेल्प कर रहे हैं, उनको कुछ एक्स्ट्रा और कहीं टाइम इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए दे आर हेल्पिंग द गवर्नमेंट. तो द फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन इज सेइंग दिस. एग्जामिन द रोल ऑफ द एसएचजी in developmental activities and measure taken by the government of India to promote the self-help groups. तो दो पार्ट है, कैसे सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप डेवलपमेंटल एक्टिविटी में हेल्प कर रहे हैं एंड हाउ द गवर्नमेंट इज प्रमोटिंग द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप इन द कंट्री. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से क्वेश्चन दे विल आस्क ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप. तो एवरी टाइम देयर इज अ मे बी क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड टू द एसएचजी और ईदर एनजीओ, नॉन गवर्नमेंटल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. दोनों के काम ऑलमोस्ट सेम होते हैं, बट पार्टिकुलर टाइम में देयर कैन बी सम डिफरेंसेस रिलेटेड टू देयर वर्क. Like NGO is on the pan India level also, but the self help group is related to some small area, some small states. So in that case, they are different. Do we make synopsis of each news covered in the gadget? Our only for editorial. Initially, please make only for editorial and learn what the editorial is discussing all about and how you can link those editorial with your syllabus. Making synopsis for the each news article is not required here, because we are already covering in a very minimalistic manner into the gadget, so you can directly read those news from there. It's better to revise again and again instead of making a synopsis of each and everything. Synopsis for the optional subject, synopsis for GS is required, because at the last time the revision they will help it. In the like last week of the prelims, they will help in the revision for the GS module. But for synopsis for the each and everything is not required, though you can learn on your own. Okay. So in 2014, the question was the penetration of the self-help group in the rural area in promoting participation in a developmental program is facing socio-cultural hurdles. Examine. तो यहाँ पे इंडियन सोसाइटी के साथ मिला के लिखना होगा. सोशियो-कल्चरल हर्डल्स, लाइक वुमेन्स को काम करने के लिए मना किया जाता स्पेसिफिकली विलेजेस में. तो कैसे सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप जब एंटर हुए फॉर फॉर्मेशन ऑफ सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप एंड दे आर एनकरेजिंग द वुमेन टू एंटर इनटू द मार्केट, encouraging the women to learn some skills and earn some economic benefits. तो उन केसेस में कैसे it's come hurdles there, तो वो आपको GS1 के सोसाइटी पार्ट से मिला के इस आंसर को लिखना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, तो whenever you are reading any of the article from the newspaper, specifically the editorial, try to link the editorial with your syllabus. How the question can be framed on this editorial, what are the other dimension I need to cover there. You can make a multiple folders, because there are not more than 30-35 most important topics on which there's a news coming. Either it's the international relation or the environment or the economy. In economy, maximum the 7-8 dimension, not more than that. Similarly, in the environment, there are 6-7 dimension, not more than that. So you can make notes of those dimensions. So if you are making the notes of the editorial of the SHG, तो कोई भी क्वेश्चन SHG का आए तो आपको उस एडिटोरियल और उस नोट से कवर हो जाना चाहिए. There is no need to open the 50 books to give the example of the SHG or the answer of the SHG. तो where the newspaper help, you will find the good case study from the newspaper, you will find the best example from the newspaper, but उस टाइम हम पढ़ तो लेते हैं, उसको उस नोट्स में ऐड नहीं करते हैं. That's the issue with us. We're just reading, we are not maintaining the notes as per the exam requirement. If you're making the notes, you're writing the complete article, that is the waste of the time. You just need to write the key points. These are the example of the SHG. This is the best practice this state is following. This is the outcome. This is the percentage they improved for some of the particular area. So ये requirement है. So instead of writing the complete article, think what the author is saying, because they are specifically related to the that field if they are writing the articles. Like the yesterday articles are discussed about the Ashok Gulati. On every Tuesday or every Monday, he is writing in the Indian Express specifically to the agriculture issues. उसके अलावा एग्रीकल्चर पढ़ने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगा if you are covering the 1 year article of Ashok Gulati. He is writing related to the subsidy issue. He is writing related to the MSP. He is writing related to the NPK, nitrogen phosphorus issue. He is even related to the changing in the pattern of the crops in the country. कैसे सब्सिडी हेल्प कर रहा है, कैसे नहीं कर रहा है, कैसे वेदर इफेक्ट कर रहा है एग्रीकल्चर को. So even in the GS1 in the geographical part, even in the GS3 in the economy agriculture part, you can quote those fact or data from those articles. So that there it will help. Similarly, in the case of the Raja Mandala, every Wednesday he write into the Indian Express related to the international issue. Raja Mandala इस नाम से आता है. On every Wednesday, he writing into the Indian Express. So you can quote the new terms there, like new terms. कल सर ने आपको articles पे दिया होगा. There are 3-4 new terms. One term is a new quadrilaterals. New quad के बारे में सबको पता होगा. What is the meaning of the new quad? ITU2. तो उसको new quad का नाम दिया गया. So these kind of the terms, if you are writing in your answers, that will help you gain the more marks. So where the role of the newspaper come. इसीलिए read very less content, but read as per the topic perspective or the exam perspective. So you can complete answer any of the question from that notes only. तो multiple 4-5 घंटे करंट अफेयर पे लगा के कोई फायदा नहीं है. Just give 1.5 hours on a daily basis. Read an editorials and read any of the gadget of the Edukemy or any institute you are following. But if you want to continue with the process, to follow for only those institutions which you are doing continue process, so you will be accountable for them. Like हमने ये किया, ये performance है, आपको ये और चीज करना चाहिए. Otherwise, there will be again issue to where is the loopholes in your preparation. Okay, so let's start the third article here. Pharmacy. हाँ मैं बता देता हूँ. Like यहाँ पे 8-10 टर्म है, वो ओनली एक्सप्लेन एंड एग्जामिन नहीं रहेगा. There can be the analyze, there is critical analyze. इसके लिए एक अलग क्लास 1 आवर लगेगा. आई विल लेट यू नो कि इनका मीनिंग क्या क्या होता है. कमेंट, डिस्कस, एलुसिडेट, एक्सप्लेन, एग्जामिन. तो ये ऐसी 10-12 टर्म्स हैं जहां पे देयर इज सम स्पेसिफिक मीनिंग ऑफ दीज टर्म्स. स्पेसिफिकली मैं अभी आपको बता देता हूँ. एक्सप्लेन और एग्जामिन में क्या डिफरेंस है. एक्सप्लेन में जस्ट यू नीड टू राइट अबाउट द टॉपिक दे आर आस्किंग अबाउट. सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स के बारे में पूछा तो वही लिखना है. एग्जामिन यू नीड टू वेरीफाई योर डेटा विद योर इंफॉर्मेशन विद द डेटा एज वेल विद एनी ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट पर्सपेक्टिव, और उसका क्या आउटपुट आया है उसके साथ आपको उसको एग्जामिन करना है कि हाँ भाई ये चीजें होंगी, इसका आंसर ये है, ये डेटा इसको सपोर्ट कर रहा है, तो आपको उसको सपोर्ट में कुछ ना कुछ लिखना होगा. एक्सप्लेन के केस में जस्ट यू आर राइटिंग द डेफिनेशन, राइटिंग द हाउ दे कैन हेल्प इनटू द. एक जेनरिक आंसर के केस में सिंपल एक्सप्लेन. इफ यू राइटिंग द यू नीड टू ब्रोडन द टॉपिक. लाइक इन 2022 दे आस्क अ क्वेश्चन द प्राइमरी रोग्स. सिंपल लिखना था कि प्राइमरी रोग्स होते क्या. तो ये डिफरेंस होता है. So in a class we can discuss the 10-12 topics of these, की मेजर मीनिंग क्या क्या है इन सब टॉपिक्स का. हाँ हाँ, तो दोनों में डिफरेंस है। एक्सप्लेन द आंसर और एग्जामिन। एग्जामिन जो उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट्स दिए हैं आपको वो सही है तो आपको अपने आर्ग्यूमेंट को सपोर्ट भी करना है और आप उसके सपोर्ट में नहीं भी हो सकते। इन द केस ऑफ द एक्सप्लेन, जो उन्होंने बोला उसके बारे में बस आपको लिखना है। दैट्स द डिफरेंस। तो इंडिया फार्मास्यूटिकल सेक्टर, we are the pharmacy of the world. We are also known for the good cause as well as the bad cause. Bad cause में they are the last 3-4 incidents into the country or in the world which are linked to the Indian pharmacy industry. One of the example related to the Gambia, जहाँ पे due to the cough syrup, many of the children died due to the toxic cough syrup. Similarly, in the case of the Jammu and Kashmir, there is a death of the 12 children. Death of the 12 children due to the cough syrup again. In the case of the Himachal Pradesh, there is a blindness into the children due to the eye drops. So these are some of the cases. Because of that, the Indian pharmaceutical sector is in the news. Other factors, the Indian pharmaceutical sector is known as the pharmacy of the world. We are the third largest producer by volume of the pharmaceutical products into the country, into the world. Third volume wise, not the value wise. So there is a difference in the volume wise as well as the value wise. Volume wise, we are on the third rank. Volume means the production. We are producing more and more products, but the value of those production is very less. Okay. So in the case of the volume, like we are the generic producer. We are a generic pharmacy of the world. So there is a difference between the generic and the branded products. Anybody can tell the difference between the generic and branded? Branded drugs are those drugs which are having their patent. But after the expiration of the patent, any pharmaceutical producer can produce those drugs. Those are the generic drugs. There is no chemical constituent difference. कोई भी chemical constituent difference नहीं होता है generic drugs में और branded drugs में. Just after the expiration of the patent, any pharmaceutical producer can produce the generic drugs. In some of the country, there is a patent for the 30, 40, 50 years also, but in India, maximum patent up to the 20 years. But after the 10 years, you need to take the again approval. If the government think they can give the approval, they will approve it. Otherwise, the patent will expire into the country. The recently patent expired for the Sun Pharma diabetic drugs. Now it's available for the generic production into the country. Radhika, can you tell these dimensions? Do we make synopsis of each news covered? No. There is no need to make the each synopsis. Radhika, we will discuss about those dimensions like 11, 12 dimensions. We can discuss in the different class. Like the time will not permit now to discuss me or those 11, 12 because the topic will be left here. Okay, so we will discuss those 11, 12 dimensions into the different class, or even before the next current affair class, we can discuss that in the half an hour, 45 minutes. So there will be clarity on those issues related to answer writing. So if you know, the India is supplying the 40% of the USA drugs supplied. हम USA का 40% drugs का supply करते हैं as an export partner. We are exporting the 40% of our drugs जो USA में use हो रही हैं. Similarly, in the case of the 25% in the case of the UK, United Kingdoms, we are supplying the 25% of the drugs. And overall vaccine supply in the world is more than the 50% from the India only. The export of the vaccine all over the world, the 50% from the India only. And there is a surprise in the case of the antiviral drug. In the case of the HIV drugs, India is supplying the 80% of the drugs to the world. So this is the level of the Indian pharmaceutical industry, how the Indian pharmaceutical industry is helping to the world to tackling the different situation. Even in the case during the pandemic, the India supplied the most of the drugs to the country, like the most of the countries having the scarcity of the PCM also, paracetamol. In the case of, they are also providing some of the basic drugs to the world. So that's why the India is known as the pharmacy of the world. So there is some data for the prelims perspective you need to know. India is third in the pharmaceutical production by volume. You can write this data. 14th in the pharma production by value. Third by volume. 14th by value. Means if we are producing more, but the value of those drugs are less as comparison to the drugs producing into the another country. So by value, we are on the 14th rank, and by volume, we are on the 3rd rank. And this is the data from the economic survey, recent release economic survey. It is the largest producer of the generic medicine globally. And it is also known as the largest vaccine producer globally. Recently, जो data आया है, उसके according, the India pharmaceutical industry will grow multiple time up to 2030 तक. They will grow continuously, and the average growth rate of the Indian pharmaceutical industry is approximately 9.76%, and it's contributing to the GDP up to the 1.75% of the total GDP of the country. If there is a question related to the pharmaceutical industry, it will be better if you're starting with the data. The Indian pharmaceutical industry is 3rd by volume and the 9 by the value. And we are contributing to the most of the drugs to the world, specifically to the generic pharmacy. So that will have a very good impact on the examiner. So you need to remember some of the data whenever you are writing the answers into the paper. These two data is also important for the prelims perspective. Like in some of the cases, they are asking like India 3rd, 4th, 5th in the pharmacy production. Ganesh Sahu, question on this pharmaceutical sector, they can be both type of the question, even the MCQ, even the mains question. I will show you the mains question, but in the prelims, the question can be based on these two statements, and also the regulating authority, National Pharmaceutical Authority, NPPA, National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, which is controlling the price into the country related to the pharmaceutical products. Okay. Next is the what are the major issue? Indian pharmacy industry के साथ issue क्या है सबसे बड़ा? सबसे पहले तो we are not investing on the research and development. We are just after expiration of the patent of the foreign country, then we are producing a generic medicine for those ones. दूसरा सबसे बड़ा issue है good manufacturing practice, GMP जिसको बोलते हैं. Good manufacturing practice means we are not taking care of the specific condition which are required for the production of those drugs. उसके बाद थर्ड है एडिटिव्स. Additives. To make more profit, we are adding those additives which are also banned in some of the country. Take an example of ethylene glycol. Like in the cough syrup, ethylene glycol is banned in some of the country, even in the India, but the producer is also mixing the ethylene glycol into the cough syrup because it's cheaper. And the other reason, quality compliance issue, कि quality पे हम focus नहीं करते. This is not in the case only in the pharma industry, in some of the cases also. Like we are exporting the basmati rice to some of the country, but the traders are mixing the basmati rice with some of the other variety also. This is going against the image of the country into the world. Next is the multiplicity of the regulator. India में 36 regional regulators for the production of the drugs. If you want to sell the drugs into the market also, you need to take the license, you need to verify your species with the drug inspector. Then you need to consult with the NPPA, you cannot sell more than that price. There is a multiple regulation into the country related to the pharma industry, and that also lead to the issue in the production, issue into the regulation in the country. Lack of stable pricing and the policy environment. You will see the difference in the medicine prices. In the Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Yojana, you will get 10 tablet of the PCM in the 2 rupee, where in the outside you can get a single tablet in the 20 rupee of the PCM. So there is also difference in the prices. Even after the regulation of the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority ke baad bhi, there is an issue related to the pricing. Case of violation of the intellectual property rights, like in between before expiration of the patent, the producer will start producing the same drugs and launching into the market, which discourage the other company which are investing on the R&D. So they are not launching some of the specific drugs into the market. तो ये इश्यू होने की वजह से IPR इज ऑल्सो अ बिगर इश्यू इन टू द कंट्री. So if we see the market size, there can also be a question. In the Indian market size continuously increasing in the last 10-20 years. In 2030, it will become the $120 billion. In 2030. Research and development में हम देखें तो they were static, but in the year 21 there is a decline into the R&D. In the case of the government initiative, they launched the Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Yojana, but later changed the name PMBJP, Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. Then the National Health Policy recently updated in 2019 regarding to the rules and regulation to the pharma production. Akansha, any price differences due to the which factors, sir? Like generic products and the branded products, and due to the some of the company के जो specification है उनके basis पे good manufacturing practice. Like even in the coaching industry, you can see one famous coaching institute is having a fees of 2 lakh, and the newcomers is having the fees of 50,000. So there is also a difference in the fee. If any company is famous for their products like the Ranbaxy, we can say that's bought by the Sun Pharma. Now the Sun Pharma. Again, there is a Dr. Reddy. So they are selling their products at the premium prices because of the good manufacturing practices, and they are hold into the market. Some of the newcomers, they're selling their products at a cheaper prices so they can compete with the big players into the market. So that's the reason. And some of the region there is a controlling authority में corruption बहुत ज़्यादा है NPPA में, National Pricing Authority. So there is a corruption related issue also. So the people are marking a 2 rupee drug as a 200 rupee and then giving a discount of 20%. That's also the reason of the difference in the prices. So we can see a mains question. ये as a practice question है, ये mains में आया नहीं है. India has gained recognition as a global hub for the pharmaceuticals, but it confronts the several challenges that require attention and resolution within its pharmaceutical sector. Comment. So there is a two part for this question. One, how Indian pharma sector is getting as a global hub. So you can mention the data. We are supplying most of the drugs. We are supplying to the US, UK, the major developed country. We are known as a pharmacy of the world. COVID के time पे भी हमने help किया है. Even some of the government initiative related to the products. But what is the issue? Quality control. You can give the example of the Gambia, जहाँ पे cough syrup की वजह there was a death. You can mention the issue of the GMP, good manufacturing practices. You can also mention the issue related to the law. There is more than 36 laws which are operating into the country related to the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. And there is one of the other organizations, CDSCO, Central Drug Statistical Control Organization, which is controlling the production of the drugs into the country. CDSCO, which is also controlling the drugs production into the country. So you can write these kind of information, but if you're mentioning the data in the example, you will get 1 or 2 marks extra than the others. Okay. So now let's move to the next topics. Only allopathy. In the case of the allopathy, we can see pharmaceutical industry is considered the allopathic industry. But because the Ayurveda is not recognized in many of the country, and we are not exporting the many of the products of the Ayurveda. So mostly the allopathic industries comes from the pharmaceutical sector. हाँ, लेकिन जो Ayurveda Unani है, that's controlled under the Ayush. That's controlled by the Ayush. ठीक है? So there is a difference between those industries. So next is the Greater Flamingo. I think you people are tired. You are taking the classes from 12 o'clock. So I will end after this topic. I will give you a slide so you can read on yourself, or you have any doubt, you can ask me. After this topic, I will take one topic that related to the RBI because that's a understandable topic. So after that, you can go. Okay. So this flamingo, so related to the flamingo, what information we need to know? What is the habitat of the flamingo? Area, in which country they are found? Any state birds, like the flamingo is the state bird of Gujarat, or their IUCN status, and the wildlife protection, it's listed under the wildlife protection of 1972. This is the information required if you are reading any of the species. Examination में इससे ज़्यादा perspectives में नहीं पूछा गया है. In some of the cases, like the question on the elephant was asked, like female lead करता है group को. Similarly, in the case of the flamingo, they are always found in the pair. You will never find a single flamingo. You will find the flamingo in the pair. Like papaya. Papaya tree is always found in the pair because they are the monogamous. Okay? So that's the reason why the flamingo is found into the pair. Okay? So range, they are found in the mainly into the Africa and the southeastern part of the Asia and the southern Europe. Greater flamingo is the state bird of the Gujarat. And there are eutrophic water bodies and the saline lagoons. Mainly आपने देखा होगा water bodies के आसपास ही मिलते हैं. These birds are found near to the water bodies. And the other important fact is they are the omnivorous species. In the case of the tortoise, they ask about these are the omnivorous है या नहीं है. So you need to remember these are the omnivorous, means they can eat the vegetarian and non-vegetarian. So दोनों case में they can survive. These are omnivorous. And the IUCN status is the least concern. These are the least concern species here. So these are the information you need to require about the flamingo, and they are found into the monogamous pair. So like the question on the elephant, they asked the female lead the group. Similarly, they can also ask this kind of the statements. The finding can be independently or in the pair. They can only be found into the pair only. So shall we read other topics in gadget for weekly test? Yes, you can read the other topics into the gadget for the weekly test. Yes. Next topic is related to the dhar. You can read this by yourself, like this is only about the tree. एक सिंगल ट्री है जिसको शिफ्ट करने के लिए कोर्ट ने मना कर दिया. You can now shift due to the protest by the tribals or the people of that area. So it is the important information. This is mainly found into the Africa, Madagascar, and Australia, and also known as the upside down tree. Store large amount of the water into the trunks, and tree is called the tree of life. These are the 4 important information that required into this topic. Okay. So the next one, this is the important one. ECL, emergency credit lending of the loans. So this is a different. तो हम देख लेते हैं इसके बारे में. What is the incurred loss and what is the expected loss? So now हमें पता है कि after an year of completion of the financial years, banking institution or the private institution is releasing their statements. This is the profit we earned into the year. This is the loss we earned in the year. So now the RBI comes with a new policy. Instead of telling the incurred loss, means जो आप loss कर चुके within a year, please tell us the expected loss. Means in the next 1 year, from the March 23 till April 24, how much loss you are expecting through the loans, through the NPA. So they are changing this policy. Why the RBI is changing this policy? Number 1, for the bank stability. If the RBI know this bank is going to be lose this much amount of the money, so they can take some action related to the bank. Even they can also do the provisioning, loan provisioning. It means this much amount of the money this bank required for maintaining a good health. The other reason why they are telling about the expected loss, if the bank is doing calculation related to the expected loss, they will try to show some of the less loss to the RBI. So like that's appear a good health and a good credit rating. If the bank is having a good credit rating, so it will attract the more customer. It can give the more loan and can have a good ratings into the national level or the world level. So in that case, the bank will try to make their policy so they get the very less loss related to their provisioning or their related to their NPA or some of the other losses the bank is incurring. But in the case of the incurred loss, after completing the loss, they are telling to the RBI, इस साल में हमें 5,000 करोड़ का loss हो गया. So the RBI is shifting from the incurred loss to the expected loss. So now they are changing their strategy related to the banking sectors, and like this is the maintaining the good health of the bank. This is the one of the reason why the RBI is merging the different kind of the banks. क्यों merge किया गया? Let's make a big bank so they cannot fail in the some of the opposite condition or even after the some of the NPA. और ये issue लेने का भी reason है. You remember the issue of the Yes Bank? Yes Bank का issue है. Some cooperative banks, one of the in the Maharashtra. Like अचानक से they said कि we are having this much loss. So in that case, there is a RBI comes, and because the RBI is a big father, they need to protect the banks and the protect of the customer also, protection of the customer as well. So in that case, if the RBI know this is the expected loss is going to be due by bank, so they can take the some action related to the bank, or they can launch the some of the schemes related to the bank. Okay. Like in the case of the HDFC, they stop the release of the credit card for the 1 year. Because they are releasing the credit card without and मतलब किसी को भी दे रहे, that lead to the loss to the bank. So the RBI going to the changing their policy. Okay, so this was the important one. So they can be a simple कि expected loss or incurred loss में क्या difference है. तो अभी RBI किस policy को follow करता है, so that can be the question there. And the last is the Aadhaar enabled payment system. Aadhaar enabled payment system means you can do a transaction on the POS machine. You can even do a transaction at the shopping mall through their fingerprints. Means Aadhaar enabled payment system. They are linking their bank account with Aadhaar. Everybody know without Aadhaar, they are not opening your bank account. First, they are linking your bank account with the Aadhaar card. Then they are saying you can do payment through your fingerprints. But there are two major issues related to the fingerprints. Whenever you are doing the transaction with your fingerprint, they are verifying your details and they are doing the transaction. You are not receiving any SMS. This much amount of money is deducted for your bank account. But in the other payment system, either it's a UPI, either it's the NEFT, or either the IMPS, we are getting a direct notification into the mobile phone, get 2,000 rupee withdrawal from the ATM or the 5,000 payment to the Flipkart. But in the case of the AEPS, this is the issue, you are not getting any notification. Another issue, you are not getting any OTP also, verification. You are just putting your fingerprints and the transaction is done. Verification through the Aadhaar, your transaction is done. Because Aadhaar is having a biometric data and they are verifying the person through the biometric data only. So in that case, you are not receiving any OTP. So there is also some of the misuse of the AEPS system. Because the fraudsters are making the silicone-based fingerprint. Silicone-based fingerprint. जिसके through they can make the transaction from the customer account directly. So this system is question marked by the National Payment NPCI. कि ऐसा नहीं है तो we need to strengthen this payment system. So they are taking some of the steps related to the strengthening this payment system, like the आपको OTP receive होगा mobile phone में, you will get the SMS related to it, or you are like making the strong. In our fingerprints, there are some of the points which are detected by the machine. So they are working on those points, so that can, if the match those points through our fingerprints, then only transaction can be done. But now only these above fingerprints are linked with the biometric. In that case, the other major points is also linked with to the biometrics. No. Yes, this is another issue. Activate करने की जरूरत नहीं होती है. There is no need to activate it, already activated without your permission. AEPS आप किसी भी दुकान पे यूज कर सकते हैं, ग्रोसरी स्टोर पे यूज कर सकते हैं, if they are having a fingerprint machine. On a PDS shop, like a direct benefit transfer के केस में, they are using the fingerprint for the PDS distribution. तो वहां पे भी आप यूज कर सकते हैं. माइक्रो ATMs आ गए हैं. You will see on the some shops small ATM, micro ATM. You can take the money through any of the app. In that case, you can use the fingerprints there. Even in some of the ATMs, you can find these fingerprints. Initially started for the 1-2 months, but the fraud increased, so they stop into the ATM, this AEPS system. So the government is talking about the AEPS system. So यहाँ पे what is the more important? AEPS system to have, but you need to know about the कौन सा सर्विस सबसे पहले आया, NEFT आया है कि IMPS आया है कि RTGS आया है, UPI कब आया है, AEPS कब आया है? तो इनके बारे में पता होना चाहिए क्रोनोलॉजिकली, विच ऑफ द सिस्टम इंट्रोड्यूस अर्लियर इनटू द कंट्री, ठीक है, दैट्स रिक्वायर्ड हियर. एंड हु कंट्रोल दीज सिस्टम, which is controlled direct under the RBI, and which of the control under the NPCI, National Payment Corporation of India, and one also is the RuPay card. ठीक है, so indirectly they can ask this kind of the question, but for the mains perspective you can quote this example, what is the issue with the digitalization of the transaction into the country, जहां पे आप एक डायरेक्ट मेंशन कर सकते हैं. So this is done for today. Tomorrow you people are having a current affair test. You can attempt the offline or online. हाँ, last week वाला होगा. You can attempt it online. I will suggest come to the offline and attempt in the offline mode, like it's a 20-minute test only, having a 20 question. So if you are coming at the 11:20 to the classes, till the 11:40 you can give the test and then you can attend your geography classes. Okay. So the test will be tomorrow. If you want to attempt online, you can go to the Edukemy portal. Let me show you how you can attempt it. You can go to the current affairs section. You can directly go to the daily current affairs. Tomorrow on Saturday, you will find, like on the 27, you will find data here, like in a 20, attempt quiz. You can start by attempting the quiz, or you want to attempt from here, you can directly also attempt from here. आप online, offline, जो भी mode में आप prefer करते हैं, you can attempt the test. I will suggest attempt the test, make your notes. Like take a notebook, divide that notebook into 6-7 sections according to your subjects, and write down the information. Because we are covering only those information which are very useful for the examination perspective. Even in our news, we are covering the 8 to 10 news only, not more than that. If you see, we are covering the 8 to 10 news. उससे ज़्यादा हम cover ही नहीं करते. Because the topic is repeating every week. So there is no need to cover again and again. We are just covering mainly for the mains perspective, 3-4 article and the 4-5 article for the prelims perspective. So try to do this much only and make your basic very strong. अगर basic strong नहीं है तो current affairs समझ में भी नहीं आएगा. Major section, like you can divide, make the environment part, make science and technology, make economy and the history and polity. In environment, there is a 3 subsection you can divide. One subsection related to the species, another subsection related to the national park, and another subsection related to the chemicals, pesticide in the news. You can mark the different section. So that at the end of the session, you are having a list which are species in the news, which is the chemicals which were in the news, which was the national park which was in the news. नहीं तो फिर magazine के पीछे भागना पड़ेगा. And a magazine is giving you the 500 national park. तो उसको याद करना भी easy नहीं है. It's better, like it's from 2 days, complete 1 year for the next prelims. Okay. If you start making from today, on every Friday, you can note it down. From the gadget, if you're finding any important information, you can note it down. Then you can make your own notes. Okay. Thank you very much. थोड़ा delay हो गया. Sorry for that. So we will meet next Friday for the class and tomorrow for the test. Magazine name बता दीजिए sir. You can follow the Edukemy. Ganesh Shahu या PDF you will find in a comment section, or you can join the daily news group of Edukemy on Telegram. There you can find the PDF also. Why they are not available current affairs for Sunday? Sunday अभी 7 दिन करंट अफेयर पढ़ोगे तो फिर जीएस कब पढ़ोगे? बेसिक्स. Saturday, Sunday we are not publishing the gadget. We are covering that on Monday and Tuesday. Sir, shall we read other topics in the gadget for weekly? Yes, you can read the other topics into the gadget. Yeah. Okay.